basically he accidentally showed his to be sorted folder, which had some, lewd images in it. And at least one or two of those images, the author, unbeknownst to him, is actually some like weird lolicon. The photos weren't lolicon, but like the author of some of the photos. Lolicon. Yeah,
but the only thing that matters is his porn folder was exposed at a time that he's trying to seem more mainstream progressive. He's going to meet Ro Khanna and these, real serious progressive politicians, and it's like, he's one of these woke wastoids that props himself up as an idealist when he's really just an inconsistent, mess.
That was a good description. Hang on. Tim, you are very descriptive, Tim. You painted a picture. I feel like I know the guy already.
Genuinely curious. What is he like inconsistent? What is inconsistent with being a progressive and like liking porn?
Well, he started as an anarchist. So, an anarchist libertarian, super woke, like there's so many inconsistencies in his political, no less.
Well, no. You're gesturing at them. I see you gesturing. I'm asking you.
Why
for specifics? What is? Actually,
anti-porn before.
We don't need to go through the whole story arcs of Vaush. We have better things to talk about. Vaush is just one node.
No. I think
Liv just posed a really good question, though. According to the ethics and the ideals of most wokeism, how is porn not
on the table?
Not inconsistent
I'm not
with
wokeism.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, porn. I'm sorry, like, I mean, but unless you want to, like, unless we're gonna try to, like, use only grass-fed farm raised porn. That is that
free range porn
is free range porn where everyone
that's better. Well, that's the thing is
completely cognizant.
Well, that's the thing is that there is no free range porn. Those girls come from fucked up families.
I just think it's funny that he's in the public spotlight for that reason.
More legendary. What's up with this? This is like
we got Moose.
Is that weed?
Is that rosemary?
Rose?
Is that oregano?
Rosemary.
I can almost smell it.
Yeah, I got a big bag of oregano. I'll sell you.
Yeah, it's rosemary. I was propagating some more.
I thought you were talking about
okay, so speaking of trolls,
I love to make me some rosemary bread, man. That rosemary.
So speaking of trolls, Jeff, my only conditions were no Moose and no Lib, and now you brought both of them in here. So
Bye.
I'm gonna have to leave soon.
Have a good weekend. When did you tell me those conditions? I would never.
He did that last time he was on here.
When I said I'll come back to your outliers, but on one condition.
What's wrong with Moose though? Like, I mean, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand your conflict with Lib.
Okay, Chris. Okay, Chris.
I'm just asking.
I'll answer your question.
I'm not being a dick.
I'll answer your question.
Okay.
The last time Moose and I spoke on panel, he brought up his concern that I was being pegged by my wife in my bunker. So,
I mean,
maybe you can ask him why he felt the need to discuss.
Okay, dude, if you can't see the humor in that, though.
Yeah, fuck.
I don't even say that.
He said the same thing about me, though.
That's a good joke. I'm sorry. That's a good joke. I mean,
and so now he just said,
"You are a blood sports master, dude. Come on, fight back."
So, Chris, he just said, I said the same thing about him. And so what he doesn't understand is the only reason why I said that was I was trying to show how evil and retarded he is. And so it's not a joke. It's not funny. It's just stupid. It's like,
no, you're right.
Most
you're right,
a joke, and you go ad hom, call him evil and retarded. At least this shit was a joke. Your shit was some type of
right. See, I'm not joking.
No. See, this is the thing. There's no joke. All right. Look, it's okay if you get pegged by your wife. That is acceptable.
Right. So if Moose wants to get
nothing wrong with that.
I don't know what's
or your husband.
It's all good. He just wants me to take it a little more seriously when I say it.
I didn't want to talk about it at all, but you're welcome to convince Chris why you thought it was a productive part of our last conversation. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's
still
just you describing it is hilarious to me, but not because of you. As you, I just think it's if he had said it to anybody, I think that'd be funny.
Okay,
okay,
Chris.
I don't even know you were married.
It's not because it's feeling against you, I-Fi. It's just because I think it's just a funny comment. But at the same time, he doesn't even consider that an insult.
I hurt the man's feelings. I'm sorry.
Obviously, you hurt Robot feelings. Robot going to cry now. Ooh,
well, I mean, I find it weirdly weird that
sad looking bud anyway.
That's what would trigger. I mean, I understand like Lib and you guys, Lib and you would like be like kind of.
I mean, I don't really have a problem. I don't really have a personal problem with
Wi-Fi. Finish hearing Lib and Tim.
Okay, hold on. We'll get to Lib in a minute. I just want to finish your answer. So, Chris.
Sure.
The reason why I said I don't want to talk to Moose anymore is because the last time we had a conversation, that's the nature of his contribution. So I'm not interested in that drama and lameness
we were talking about earlier.
So that's all.
I'm pretty sure you said worse things about me and Jeff. So like,
name one.
I mean, he belongs on the View.
I don't keep
he wants to talk about the drama,
when people insult me, it rolls off my back. It's water off a duck's back. I don't even.
Now,
I don't archive it.
I didn't catch the beginning of the conversation, but from what I heard from when One True Tim was talking, he was just complaining about this useless bullshit that people dramatize in these rooms. They never have any productive or useful conversations.
I think
it's just bullshit. Like you get pegged by your wife and shit like that.
It was like a 3-second joke, and you turn it into like a 20.
I know, but see, you don't understand. Like you're causing people who are interested in these conversations to leave because they think it's just childish bullshit.
I could bring this back to Vosh.
Okay, I don't mind like a single 3-second joke. What I might if all he kept doing was just railing like you get pegged by your wife, you get pegged by your wife. If he kept doing that over and over again, nobody else.
No, dude, Chris. First of all, I think you're overanalyzing it. I was. It was the episode where I was like leaving and I was like, I'm gone, I'm done with all this. You know, I don't want to be a part of it anymore. And so that was just like another example of why I'm not coming back, because I don't want to waste my time with all this childish horseshit.
Well, since you're not coming back, I want to ask you a genuine question. This is
I said that's when I said that. I didn't say I'm saying that now. I'm saying that was why I signed off. I was just saying I'm not interested in that.
There's a necessary affect in the public and the internet sphere that
in the same conversation, Chris,
bother you, even though it should. And I hate
in the same conversation, Chris, you and Jeff were accusing me of not answering your questions, which is bald-faced lies, which everyone knows. I always answer everyone's questions.
Hey, I didn't. Which question did I accuse you of not answering?
You and Chris both said I won't answer our questions. Blah 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 blah. You're trying to rail on me about some random bullshit.
Do you know what line of questions?
Just go back.
I do remember after you jumped off the last panel that you jumped off. I do remember the last panel you jumped off.
Tim wanted to bring this back to Vosh
that dude would not answer any questions.
So
but seriously, but this is an honest question for you, Wi-Fi. I just want to say, how are you feeling? Your voice still sounds a little scratchy. Are you doing all right, man?
It's still laryngitis 1, Wi-Fi 0. I'm still losing, so I'm not going to talk for long.
Okay, I just sound hoarse. I am.
Yeah. I'm still kickstarting the YouTube stuff, so that's why I asked Jeff if I can restream to YouTube.
Absolutely, anytime, all the time.
Okay, so Chris, I've answered Jeff's question, I've answered Chris' question, I answered Moose's question, and so now the lib concern. Okay, so now
we're gonna hear from Tim.
Hold on. So now to answer Chris's question about lib. So
I think we all know why you don't like me. I think that's
we all know.
Clear and evident.
I wasn't clear about that one. I already knew why you didn't.
We all know. So One True Tim, if you look in the background of my picture, do you see the meme behind me over here?
Yeah, we see it. We see it. Yeah.
This is why I don't want to talk to Lib anymore, because
it is a funny meme.
Because you people keep drumming up this argument over and over and over again for thousands of years. The argument has already been settled. It's completely evil, retarded bullshit. No one cares about communism.
Slight nitpick, which is that communism hasn't been an ideology for thousands of years. So just,
hey, Liv,
for what it's worth.
Hey, Liv, let's give it one more shot, shall we?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah, what's up?
The ideal associated with communism.
Hold on. Tim, you shouldn't even engage with Hi-Fi on this topic. It's not.
Don't engage with Liv.
I want Tim to have a chance to say what he's been trying to say.
I'll be brief. I'm curious. Isn't this tension really a question of human nature, how malleable it is? I mean, isn't it really a problem that people, even if we have the chance and the utility and the surplus and everything we need, as we may have currently, we have everything we need. It's a human nature problem, not a political science problem, right? Isn't that the thing we need to get through before we get?
It's a personal problem that's been made a group problem.
It's not that easy, but it's a little bit of everything that you just said.
Well, it's just fundamental questions in political science come, readily with a ready-made view of human nature. Like Marxism has a view of human nature, and so does capitalism. Do
you think communism will work if we have good and intelligent people, Tim? Yeah. Do you think that's the problem?
Whatever, nerds.
Whatever, nerds.
I haven't seen any of those.
I don't think communism under that name. That's like a brand, like Coca-Cola. It's done. It's poisoned. You can't. It's already got the associated poison attached to it.
And so you can argue about all the psychology of it and stuff like that, and learn from why humans fail. But to keep bringing it up like it's still a valid economy or something like that, that's where it's just garbage at this point. You're not learning as humans.
Let me ask, doesn't that go for all isms? I mean, to bring up capitalism.
No, there's lots of isms that are good. Capitalism is a great policy. Libertarianism is a great policy. Moral conservatarianism is a great policy.
What about collectivism?
Wait. Let's do the capitalism shit. Capitalism, if we go on with our form of capitalism, the vote inherently, you have a two-party system, death. Capitalism itself is competition for who get the most money. Politicians can be bought by the rich. Capitalism has inherent flaws. Yeah.
So for what it's worth,
they're not inherent flaws. You're giving an example of a system that has failed.
Capitalism. Yes, I took ours.
And so. If you enforce capitalism, which is the private ownership of land and resources and the voluntary exchange of goods and services, there is no better system than capitalism.
Well, the main thing about these ideologies is that they don't fit perfectly with what goes on in the world. Capitalism is a theory. Communism is a theory. They don't work in the real world.
They definitely work in the real world. That's the only place where
capitalism doesn't work. From. Capitalism doesn't work in the real world.
Where it doesn't.
I didn't. I said he gave an example of one that has failed. I wouldn't use America as the standard of capitalism. That's not the good example.
What's the example of a capitalist country?
Switzerland, Ireland, Singapore.
Switzerland and Ireland, where they have international trade. They have all the public school system. They have all of these problems.
They have the freest economies in the world.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But you were saying
the freest economy, but it's not capitalism.
I can give you the best communist.
There's no such thing as pure capitalism, machine.
That's what I just said in the beginning, though.
Yeah. No one here is arguing laissez-faire capitalism. No one.
I am arguing.
Of course, like I said, it doesn't exist.
Listen, what I was arguing is that capitalism, you could bring good and bad from it, and I assume communism would have good and bad.
The two debates are between socialism and capitalism. Not communism's a red herring. But anyways,
okay, all right.
So Joe Cool, ask yourself this question: which system is more corruptible and more full of evil, socialism or capitalism?
Capital.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry, I can go on, but
go ahead. Go on. Use real world examples in history.
What's the ideal? Where's the incentive? If the incentive, I personally believe that human nature will be driven, not predicated, but driven per the incentive. Yeah. Whether we consciously know what that incentive is or not,
what's the incentive for socialism?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What is the incentive for socialism?
So the unit of value would be the social well-being. You could, I'd rather use humanist rather than socialist, because
I'll go with that. What would be for capitalism? What would be the incentive for capitalism?
I mean, like Stalin.
Wait,
Mao,
I want Tim to answer.
Why is Spider-Man #1 worth as much as it is?
Wait, Tim. Well, let me assume, and you tell me, is capitalism, their motivation would be money? Yeah, capital.
Profit.
Well, money is one form of capital.
So if you ask me which two are inherently evil, anything that chases money, that's already off on the wrong foot.
You don't have to
Actually, my question is, which system is more corruptible?
The one that has capital as the incentive, not the well-being of humans. The problem is the well-being of humans as the ideal is not something that human nature is driven towards, even if you remove the incentives of private property and capital. Marxist theory tries to play on that if you realign the incentives, then the human will fully realize into this evolved and higher form of, and that is not, humans are horny and violent, end of story. Capitalism antagonizes it, but does not create that condition.
Okay, the end of story is just trust me. I prefer arguments rather than end of story. That's just how it is. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, cool. What if I told you we don't even have to debate this because there is no debate between capitalism and socialism?
And why not?
So if you look behind me here, these are lists of countries ranked according to their economic freedom. So that means
question I-Fi, where is this source?
I'm trying to talk.
No, I'm asking you to link your source, please.
Oh, okay. Here, let me drag it down in the view so you can see it. So it's
country rank
2023 Economic Index of Freedom. Okay.
Yeah. Just Google heritage.org economic.
Wait, it's the Heritage Foundation?
Heritage Foundation.
Yeah. I know. Data doesn't count as evidence.
No,
it's. I know. The communists have better data.
Heritage ideal is not true.
Specifically, the Heritage Foundation.
You're right. You should always ask communists, which countries are more free. You're right.
Well, that's a culture war then.
Well,
it's a
I'm going to send
it's a biased
shirt
source
that says never been pegged on it.
So
I like to hear I-Fi's bullet points.
Okay, so Joe, these are currently countries that we live in right now. This isn't history. This isn't theory. This isn't like a scenario. This is actually happening right now as we're speaking. The countries.
Read them all for me. I'm really high.
I'll just give you some examples. Okay. So the countries at the top are places like Singapore, Switzerland, Ireland, Taiwan, New Zealand, Estonia, Luxembourg, Netherlands.
Those are the
Denmark.
countries he named. That I think Tim just named or somebody.
Okay, so these countries are the most capitalist countries in the world. So now you can ask yourself, is their quality of life better? Are there more freedoms in this country? Is this a place where you want to live? Is this the kind of government you want to live under? Now, the opposing team is called socialism.
Okay.
So socialists are countries like North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela, Sudan,
Sweden, Denmark,
Zimbabwe,
Lebanon,
Iran, Algeria, Bolivia, Lebanon. All countries like that are very socialist countries.
Well, yeah, I
take issue with the Heritage Foundation
this is why communists don't ever want to argue about it, because you can give them real world data that we're not debating this. I'm not saying I feel like these countries are corrupt. I'm saying
but you're saying you feel like they're communist or socialist.
But see, I-Fi, hold on.
Compare them to capitalist countries.
All right, go ahead and yield.
Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
I'm still talking to Joe. I'm trying to finish the point.
No, yield. I'm with you. I think I got your argument.
Okay, Joe.
Very fucking good. No, let someone else in. We can't monopolize shit, right?
I can't finish my thought.
I mean,
we'll come else talk now.
Shit, dude. The thing is that you brought a source, but the source is from a conservative think tank. So you don't find that has any bearing on the type of information you presented.
I think that's the type of stat that would go the same across anybody, anywhere you look. That's
machine lies. Name a better source.
One that's not specifically dedicated to anti-communism.
That's what they do. Still, that is a great
it can't be that cartoonishly biased, dude. Like, it's fucking retarded.
Well, I don't know the
if you want to go
methodology
to
behind it.
Cato Institute, you can go use their
I-5,
charts.
Cato's a better source. I can vouch for Cato. They're still biased towards a
They're-
certain cultural outcome,
Yeah.
not a data-driven impetus. They're
By the
driven
way,
by an
too-
outcome, not data.
Cato is better than Heritage Foundation.
But it is better, yeah.
By the way,
as a
It's
crazy
funded by a lot
commie.
of the same people.
I-Fi, can you throw that link in the back so I could?
They had a schism back around
Yeah,
2008.
I can as well. I've got it up.
hold on.
Okay.
But there are tons of metrics we can use to establish the same like living standard problems.
Yeah.
And I think I-Fi, is that how you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I-Fi, I agree with the distaste for like quibbling over bad outcomes. It's like you can see bad outcomes in many other countries, places, and times.
Okay.
But drawing this Western society line where it's like capitalism, when it should be Western culture that has informed those outcomes, is like correlation, not causation. I don't know the right fallacy, but you're like reducing a lot of complexity down to what the culture war represents. It's a false binary.
No, dude. All I'm doing is talking about economy. That's all I'm talking about right now. Is capitalism
But
versus socialism.
you said
That's
North
the only
Korea
topic.
was a socialist country, and that's not
That's
a socialist
because they
country.
are.
They are not a socialist
objectively
country.
a socialist country. No one's debating
yeah,
whether or not North Korea
no,
is
they-
a capitalist
Yeah, they are.
country.
It's not a socialist country, but you don't. I mean, we could go to Wikipedia and we can start to educate ourselves. Each country, what they're
Okay,
they're
dude,
not
you
capitalist
go
either.
ahead and
Unit
learn
of
what
monetary
capitalism
blah,
is
blah,
and
blah.
socialism is, and then we'll debate it. I'm not going to sit here and
But socialism
and wait
is
until
not
people
communism.
guess what words mean.
They're not all the same thing. Is my point. It's like
So,
saying
Machine.
chocolate and vanilla are the same thing because they're ice cream. It's not the same thing.
So,
You're
Machine,
Go
are
ahead.
you still with us, Machine? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see these words behind me right now?
Not really. I mean, I gotta really look, like, put my face up to the computer.
Jeff, can you
Rule
make
of
me
law,
full screen for a second?
Rule of
Might
law,
take off the
government
shades.
ties.
Put you on solo.
Economic freedoms matter now more than
That's just the Geno
Okay,
coefficient
so
or whatever.
Machine, which part of this is anti-communism in their bias? Please explain to me how they are biased against communists by their methodology.
Because law is separated by spirit and letter, and they're reducing it to one thing as if people are lawless or lawful. That's an oversimplification.
How is having property rights and whether you have them or not pro or con communism?
You don't believe that a think tank that's specifically dedicated and funded by certain people is going to produce these measurements and information in a highly specified way.
Provide a better
Follow the
source.
money.
Do you want to go to Cato and see which ones they think is more socialist and more capitalist?
If you think that that's a better source, I think Cato's funded by the same fucking people that these fucknuts is funded.
See,
by.
there's no winning with you, Machine. I just gave you a better source according to everyone else on the panel.
You gave
and
you
still
gave a
said that's
source.
not good enough.
I mean, for what it's worth.
You gave a source that's admittedly biased to your own position.
Okay, let's go to Cato.
For-
Let's go to
for-
Cato.
For what it's worth, while I
You
do
gave
think
one
Cato
source
is a
by a
better
conservative think tank. You know,
yeah, so Cato is a better source than the Heritage Foundation, but that's kind of like saying that, like, you know, getting your leg broken is better than having all of your limbs eviscerated.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, it is better, but I wouldn't say it's good. I mean,
What's
the
the
UN
source?
probably has.
Yeah, do you guys
the
got
UN
the source
probably
that,
has. I would go with the UN more than like the Heritage Foundation or
Well, here's a
something.
normative one. We don't have to be super hard, data driven for. Adam Smith, right? Pretty big, like free market capitalism guy. Probably the guy who made up the deal capitalism. Actually, Marx coined the term capitalism.
Yeah, Marx and
So, there is that. But the point I want to make here, if I can get my brain back on it, is Adam Smith said something to this effect that without an ethical framework, I'm going to assume ethical citizens, which is what a republic is run by, us informed citizens. Without an ethical framework serving as the basis for a capitalist economy, it's completely worthless. It's worse than worthless. It's poisoned. It's corrupt. And the imbalance of power is what we see now, that we would need to go through American history and look at, say, the New Deal and see why there was trust busting to keep the economy more free. But that's so far out because you have institutions like the Heritage Foundation that are skewing the data and reducing complexity. So people think that we're under Ronald Reagan and we need to be like, it's the Reds coming over the hill. It's the commies that want to undermine God. It's equivocation and conflation at best.
Gaslighting is a very common tactic with socialists.
Well, I remember
they never want to talk about definitions of terms or anything like that. They just want to say anything that you define objectively is crazy because you're anti-communist. So you can't think rationally or clearly, even though I showed you their methodology.
I am anti-communism. Okay, let's just get that straight. I am for capitalism if the capital is regulated per an informed citizenry, and it is not.
For example, the Heritage Foundation opted for mass surveillance during the War on Terror in the Bush administration. Even pointed out that that the President Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus. So when they're fined for communist procedures like mass surveillance, they're just a neoconservative think tank. They're not communist or capitalist. They're just bringing forth policy.
Conservative.
Yeah, I mean, it's a garbage. It's a garbage institution.
That's all it is.
Provide a better
garbage
source.
Institution that's funded by Zionists and all these types of people. It is what it is.
Provide a better source.
You only provided one bullshit source. Why should I have
provided two sources?
With your game.
It's my second source.
Yeah, but I don't have to prove anything to you.
He's not the one making the claim, dude.
I know exactly. You made a claim and you failed to prove it.
You're right. I claim that this has already been analyzed and studied by actual economic experts, and
but they're not actual
internet people
experts.
Who think they're the experts.
Well, they're not necessarily. They are potentially heavily biased economic experts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now provide your unbiased experts. That's a better source.
Such thing. There's no
I don't have
to.
First off, there's no such thing, but also they're
no
definitely
shit, Lib. And now you see how fallacious that this complaint is. You keep making it sound like, iFi just keeps pushing all this biased information, but he won't report the unbiased sources.
It doesn't mean that the necessarily most biased source you can find is valid.
Everyone
just because
has the same
everyone has
access
a bias
to the internet that I have. So
I'm
feel
aware.
free to Google your fucking source and put it on the screen.
Here I have the United Nations Association Coventry branch.
Go ahead.
The Human
put up the listing.
The Human Freedom Index.
Put it up.
It only took him It only took him 2 minutes to do that shit. See what I mean?
Okay, let's see which ones are.
You asked for it, you got it.
It's not just economic related, but it.
We're only talking about economics. See, this is the problem, Tim.
Well,
because every time you try to talk about a topic, they always got to conflate a different topic with it.
Yes,
they'll start introducing
this is kind of how
the size and power of government, which is not the economy.
All right,
the size and power of government is the debate between authoritarians and libertarians. That's a whole different topic.
No, and that's why I'm more on your side, iFi, because without that citizenry, there is no system that will save us from ourselves.
So
there is
Tim,
absent in
iFi, can you let me
Tim,
talk,
if I wanted to have a serious conversation with you about the problem with
serious I'm gonna be a dick, Joe. I swear to God, we'll wreck
hold
this
on, Joe.
I'm not gonna hold on.
What's going on?
Because I don't want to just hear your fucking point of view. Please let other motherfuckers. I'm sorry.
I'm talking to Tim, dude. I don't know what you're freaking
I know,
out
but
about.
you're interrupting Lib, and Lib was going to give his counter argument.
Because Lib wants to keep derailing the conversation. That's why I don't talk to Lib anymore.
All right, please.
So, Tim,
I'd like to hear both sides.
But I don't see
that.
He took his ball and went home.
I think I'm hearing both you, Lib, and iFi, and Joe, and I think I'm hearing everyone pretty clearly. And what
Except
I'm hearing
for me, because I can't finish my thought.
But I think I'm trying. Let me try to steel man your position here. You're saying that you need another source to counter what you are presenting. That it should, by all intents and purposes, be seen as at least a legitimate case made.
No.
And to tear that one down, you want a different one. But the problem is, good data does not draw conclusions for us. And the main point I want to make is, I don't think we're all on different pages. I think we're probably, when it comes down
we're
to
definitely
it,
on different pages. That's part of the problem.
But that's where I disagree. I think that we're not as far off as you might think.
Oh, we're not even in the same ballpark. Lib and I are not even on the same planet. So that's why I don't.
But Lib was going to use what is it, the Human Freedom Index, and that doesn't make a case for communism. That's just giving you a different source for your data to make the same argument, and it's probably a little more reliable. So he wasn't even arguing with you. He was trying to give you the same information or to show you where Heritage was drawing their information from. I think
no, he wasn't. He was trying to make it sound like Heritage is biased, so you can't use it as a source.
But they are biased. They have been biased for a long time. They are a think tank that is funded.
And I asked him to provide a better unbiased source, which both of them can't answer. So see, you just keep pretending like we're having separate conversations or something. They're in the same room. They hear the same words. You're not acknowledging them. You're just pretending like they're not saying it.
Lib was about to do this. What Lib was about to do. Had you let him do it, I'd have my own opinion on what Lib did.
So if there are better sources, I've asked myself as well.
But Lib provided them, is what I'm saying. He was doing what was asked.
He got out 2 words and got cut off. So, yeah.
I was actually also going to give the Cato Institute posted a Human Freedom Index as well. It's the Cato Institute and the Fraser Institute, which is a similar. They have conservative leanings, but they are broadly more reputable than the Heritage Foundation. Their biases show a lot less in a lot of their data.
Okay,
what conclusions did you come to when you looked at UN and you looked at what is your opinion?
So the UN, the United Nations Association Coventry branch, posted this Human Freedom Index in 2019. The data is from 2016 because that's the most recent year for which sufficient data is available to allocate an HFI, is what it's called. Okay. HFI, basically, it's a measure that encompasses personal, civil, and economic freedom. To be a little more specific, human freedom is a social concept that recognizes the dignity of individuals and is defined here as negative liberty or the absence of coercive constraint.
But they don't classify it as socialist, capitalist, etc., like that other one did.
Well, yeah, no, that's actually why I prefer it, because it's talking about it without using sort of ideological bent. It is literally just talking about
the conclusion for you.
It is literally just saying, hey, here's all of these measures, and we're looking at all of these countries sort of in comparison with each other. Yeah. So, like, for instance, on the HFI that the United Nations Association put out, the #1 ranked HFI country in 2016 was New Zealand, followed by Switzerland, and then Hong Kong, though they do mention that Hong Kong should be listed separately because now it's a part of China, so there's a whole different things. But then next is like Australia, Canada, Denmark, Netherlands, and then like obviously at the very bottom you have countries like Libya, Iraq, Yemen, Venezuela, Syria.
So even their list was like IFI's list, it seems.
Yeah, no shit. That's what I just said.
Give or take. I would. I mean, for instance, things like Ireland.
About, Joe?
I know, which is why I wanted to let him speak no matter. Which is why I want to let him speak no matter what you came up with. I assume the same countries.
Do you see how much time we wasted? For you to point that out, Joe. Do you see that?
Well,
see how long it took you?
No, I think it had to be done. I can't play psychic.
The important distinction, I think, is that things like the HFI, things like even the Cato Institute, the way they do theirs is like they don't break it down by like, oh, is this country fucking communist or capitalist or whatever. They do like break it down and be like, hey, look, here's all these countries and all of their scores are sort of like in relation to each other, rather than by trying to like
one more time.
Wait, let's go back.
The debate is between socialism and capitalism. Let's go back Communism to that is a red herring.
The argument on the table was that socialism is inherently worse, going to have worse
inherently more corruptible.
Capitalism. Now, after seeing what we've saw, a fucking IFI has an argument, yeah?
Yes, Joe. Yes. Thank you.
I don't hear how that amounts to an argument. Though. I don't hear how that makes a case for capitalism. Because many of the economies that are technically capitalist are mixed economies, and they value the social welfare as the highest form of good. They might not actually serve that.
I was about to say, actually, in particular, New Zealand, places like New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Denmark, Netherlands.
Good fucking point, too.
Which are like some of those like top 10. Finland and Norway are number 10. And those are some of those are like a lot of people call them like socialism light. They're not really. They're just
healthcare and taking care of everything.
Yeah, literally, they just have like good social welfare programs.
I'll tell you why it's a moot problem. Okay, the reason why it's a moot problem is because large scale technologies are inherently A, socializing, B, they create central government control, and C, they engender international trade. So they engender a type of international socialism, a type of corporate socialism. I mean, so the thing
scary
with
shit, but sounds true.
So the thing with large scale technologies is that they create socialism on in terms of the state, and they create monopolies, as well.
They create welfare states, which I do think is distinct from socialism. You don't have to have socialism to have like a welfare state or even like social welfare programs. Though I do agree that to have like a socialist economy or country or whatever would have a relatively large welfare state, social safety net, however you want to put it, by necessity, because like that's the point of
what I'm talking about. You get electricity and power. A certain percentage of it comes from nuclear power, right? There's no way the citizens can control nuclear power.
I mean, not even just nuclear power, but like things like even just like generic like coal
internet.
generation.
They can't control the internet either.
I mean, you saying, Laz, that's a good point on the floor, right? The bigger you get, are these things even tenable anymore? When your population gets so big and you have to bring in these big corporate structures and shit, does your capitalism and so socialist systems now become moot, as he started?
Yeah. And for what it's worth, if you want to actually take a great example of what happens when you, for instance, capitalism your power grid, just take a look at Texas. Texas has almost completely privatized their power grid, and like anytime there's just any amount of stress on their power grid, it just fucking fails. And there have been a lot of people who've talked about, a lot of economists who've talked about part of the reasons as to why, and a large portion of it is because they have their power grid is privatized, and as such, the incentives for these private companies are vastly different than if they were, run by the government, which would have
a good point. Anything that the government privatize and let's take over, it goes as a prison system, whatever it is, it seems to go fucking haywire. It certainly is about making profit, and the person dies, which is the reason you created government, was to help that person. Now profit becomes a motive. Capitalism now has a strike against it.
And if you want to look at historical examples as well, fire departments in a lot of places in the United States.
No, let him finish. I don't want to interrupt.
Fire departments used to be there used to be in the United States privatized fire departments. Actually, in Europe, they were largely privatized, and that led to a lot of really devastating fires in both the United States and in Europe, where private companies would just let fires rage, and because there wasn't a public fire department,
you didn't have enough money or whatever.
There are certain things that are better handled collectively.
All right.
Okay, Tim, now you ready for me to finish my point? Okay. And I'll come back to you in a second, Joe, because I'm not done with you.
No, we're good. Go.
No, I'm not done with you yet. I'll comment to you in a second. I just got to get my thought done with Tim first.
Come on.
All right, Tim. So earlier when I was trying to make a very simple point but got derailed by communist propaganda bullshit,
that's snappy,
was the reason why you don't want to conflate topics like economies and the size and power of government, because those are two very complicated topics that should be separate. So I only wanted to talk to you about the difference in economies. The debate is between capitalism and socialism. I showed you why we don't even have to debate it. We already know what happens when countries go socialist and when countries go capitalist. I'm not saying there is such a thing as a pure example of either case. There's no pure socialist country. There's no pure capitalist country. There are countries that are more capitalist and there are countries that are more socialist. And they're clearly listed on either source that these fucking retards can't understand are the same fucking list after they sit there and bitched about how my source is so biased and, oh, I'm just using biased propaganda, blah, 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 blah. Fuck them. Anyways, it's the same list.
Is there a point at the end of this?
I'm talking to Tim, so if you got a problem with the point I'm making with Tim, you can just wait.
You're talking to Tim, but you just said that everybody here bitched about your source.
Yeah, I can take two people in particular.
I'm sure that includes
Machine.
I'm sure that
people bitching about my biased sources. Not
and I'll tell you right now, that you've hand waved one of the most important problems. You've hand waved it away.
What was that?
That's the centralizing feature of a socialist economy and the size of the state. You just said it. It's just that there's no.
No, I didn't. I specifically said to separate those topics.
There clearly
lies in my head. I still got them joined at the hip too.
I specifically said do not conflate the two because then that makes it sound like you're talking about the same thing.
Why not conflate the two when it's a central problem?
We will, Machine. I'll get to that. In a second.
Think that's why we're on the same page because no one here. I don't know. Maybe Lib. I mean, it would be a good faith question to ask Lib.
Hold on,
do you trust? You have to have an element of distrust for any central power, even if it's needed.
Oh, yeah.
I will address your point when I comment back to Joe when I'm done talking to Tim about my original point.
But we're all kind of anti-authoritarian, is I think the same page, right? We're kind of
no. Listen.
You can't.
Economy is one topic.
This is also a conversation with multiple people. You can't just lead the conversation wherever.
I said I will address your point when I'm finished talking to Tim with my original
you're gonna address it. I'll cut in and address whatever the fuck I want.
Okay, you can interject and interrupt. Talk over all you want. That's fine.
Like, what a weird way. Like, you'll wait till I'm done addressing somebody else's point. Yeah, but
no, that's all right. I'll wait till you start talking, Machine. Then I'll just talk over you and be
talking to Tim, so I want to give at least Tim a chance to respond.
No, for sure. No, I'm just saying, but yeah.
So Tim, if I wanted to have a serious conversation with
Tim
you
to respond to you, not for you to keep talking.
Economy. I would say we're going to talk about the debate between capitalism and socialism. And then you bring up the point that, well, what about authoritarians versus libertarians? And I say, yes, that's very important concept.
No verses in that equation. I think that's the one unifying function here politically that we have in common, that we don't want to trust power because it's a coercive element.
I'm talking about the two different topics, dude. I'm just saying don't combine the two different topics.
But I take issue, although I am not a communist, and I do think it's foolhardy for the modern zeitgeist. I'm sorry, I don't have a better word. It's what it is. It's like trendy to be like, well, what about communism? Isn't it better? Like people traipse along that, they put the rose tinted glasses on and then they point at other people for being fascist, and it's a big freaking mess. But anyone with half a brain is going to be skeptical of central power because they just take more and more and more. So there is no versus. There's no authoritarian versus libertarian because who is going to enforce the liberties? The Constitution is a compromise. It's a balance. And that political theory was already visited, and there's a lot of history that's worth attending.
Okay, Tim, I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry that you're unable to separate the two debates. I understand that you want to combine them.
I can separate them. I'm saying it's of no value.
You just said there is
worth seeking.
You just said there is no debate between authoritarianism and libertarianism.
No. I didn't say there is no debate. I didn't say there's no way to make a debate or put it on a binary.
He's saying they all end up in with power controlling at the end. I think
I'm saying those are two different
all
topics.
Reasonably skeptical of government overreach, of authoritarianism. But this is complicated political theory, and it's not reducible the way you want to reduce it, even though I can appreciate why and how you are doing that.
So I'm sorry I was unable to convince you that we should separate the topics and debate those first, and then see what happens when we combine them and how complicated that gets. I failed.
I agree with that.
Okay, Joe. So now to comment to respond to your comment earlier, I understand why you think they go hand in hand. So when we're talking about,
socialism and capitalism.
Or
are we talking
for example, you talked about economy, the corrupt form of capitalism.
Yeah,
I like to call it cronyism, because cronyism is when capitalism and authoritarian governments get together and start cheating and bending the rules and create monopolies and shit and fucking up the economy.
Yes.
That's the way you can break capitalism. I agree with you. I'm not saying that's a problem with capitalism. I'm saying the problem is the authoritarian government intervening into the economy.
Okay.
So that's why I said don't confuse the two. Those are two different topics.
Let's go back to what happens without so much authoritarian pre-monopoly laws and shit like that.
That's why.
Wait.
Go ahead.
With more of a capitalist system, we had the barons, right? The oil barons, the railroad barons, right? And they got so bold that they would kill workers if they striked. They hire motherfuckers, right? The Pinkertons, or I don't know who the fuck got started, just beating up motherfuckers. They took over all the small businesses. They took over, and the people had to live under their authoritarian rule.
Okay, so first of all, again, you're kind of skipping over the fact that we're trying to debate whether or not a libertarian government is better than an authoritarian.
I don't know what libertarian. I can't speak intelligence on libertarian. I've never looked. So I don't know what their values, philosophies, and beliefs.
Libertarians want small government, Joe. We don't want big federal governments.
That could work.
We don't want big state powers. We don't want the government seizing the means of production. We don't want them regulating our businesses. We don't want the government to own property, to own the factories, to own the businesses.
Government cannot own a thing. It's not even
or steal your profit. That's what we don't want. That's what libertarians want. The freedom from all this bullshit.
It had disconnected you. I didn't realize you were.
So Joe Cool. By the way, as far as which economies kill the most people, do you want to know which economies kill the most people? Is it socialists or capitalists? Because again, we already have the historical data on that. We don't have to debate it anymore.
As long as you're not using the Black Book of Communism as your source, love to see it.
I use Google, so you're welcome to use any source you want.
So what you're saying is you definitely use the Black Book of Communism, but you just don't want to take responsibility.
I use historical facts that can easily be found by Google. If you want to know how many people have died as a result of your particular
as long
ideology.
as I know the source. Google.
No, Central Command is not my ideology, I-Fi. So
Joe Cool, next time you're on Google, just Google the words "deaths by communism" if you want to keep arguing with Lib about socialism.
You know Google lies, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
I know,
everybody.
It's all biased data. We already been through this. Okay.
No. It literally censors. Literally censors. Like depending on which country you live in. Like if you live in China, it'll tell you different shit about communism.
See, that's another great point for socialism.
But if
they don't even allow factual data to be freely spoken, they censor it
authoritarian, not
because they don't want you to know how many people they actually kill.
That happens here too.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, well then go find China sources on how many Americans have killed people with capitalism and post that source. So feel free to debate it all you want. Like I said, some people already know what's going on here. We don't have to sit here and debate it anymore. We understand what's happening.
This is what I would assume.
No, I think actually we do have to debate it because when people say death by communism, it is important to note what you mean by like deaths by communism. Like, do you mean like, oh, there was a famine and that's as a result of communism?
Like when the government seizes the means of production and the people start starving to death, and then they complain to the government, and the government disappears those people for complaining to the government.
So
that's
not a quantitative. That's not a qualitative.
Like
thing
cultural
that we can
revolutions, lib. Like gulags, lib. Like real shit that happened in history that we all know about that you deny and pretend like never happened.
What
that kind of shit?
If I may address this, because this is absolutely
address it to someone who's dumb enough and
not
young
based
enough to
off
listen
of
to
things that I have said. So first off, I'm not a supporter of the Soviet Union or communist China or the CCP or whatever. The Holodomor happened. The Cultural Revolution was an abject horror. I don't know where you're getting that I defend these things other than like from your own brain, which I can't control what's in your brain, but I can say that like you didn't get that from me. You got that from your own brain and imposed that on me.
Hey, Joe Cool, can you help me out here, man? I'm having trouble.
Yeah, how do you get out of this one?
Go ahead.
Can you see Lib's icon?
All right, welcome, Jesse, by the way.
Hey, welcome. And the only thing that I've been listening for a bit, and I wanted to say is, have we ever had a true laissez-faire free market capitalism? Have we ever had a true socialism that hasn't been controlled by the back end by the 6,000-year-old death cult? So whether these systems are in place, there's always been the hidden hand pulling the strings. So we've never had a real representation of either of them.
Best point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So Joe Cool, can you read the words under lib? Like what is his tag say? I can't read it.
It's you stupid. Yo, it says copy.
Yeah, so he said it's in my head. See, he said he can't control what's in my head.
No. You said hang on. It is important to note
you see how retarded these people are, Joe?
No.
That's why I don't.
So I just want to make sure that you understand that the word commie is not the phrase "I support the Holodomor and
words
the Cultural
don't
Revolution."
mean what they mean.
Yeah, words don't have
meanings. He changes the definition of all the words.
That's not a changing of the definition.
Wonderland.
No, that's not a Jeff. Come on, now you know that what IFI is doing is
oh
disingenuous.
my God, how many
Jeff.
streams have we argued about the definition of common words?
Words don't have
it's not the definition of common words. Oh my God!
And Lib has said, "Oh well, that's not the definition I use." And
that's not what this conversation's even about, Jeff. This conversation is about IFI.
When it comes to UN words, there are certain patterns.
I'm aware, but there's a difference between what you're talking about and IFI saying I support the Holodomor. Let's be clear, a genocide.
Anyway, go ahead. Clarify your words.
It's not a clarification. It's IFI literally just thinking in his brain that I support fucking the Holodomor or something.
Isn't IFI
when I very clearly
Soviet
don't
stuff, not communist stuff? Soviet, there's a big difference. It's not a semantic.
Well, the Soviets did claim to be communist, and arguably they were early on.
They weren't real.
It wasn't until it is important to remember that
that's like blaming the heavy metal kids that kill a cat. That's like blaming Ozzy Osbourne for those kids.
This is not Provo's show, so you are welcome to come up.
It is different because so like the early Soviet Union was actually different than what we can talk about like Stalinism. So basically the early Soviet Union was at least making an attempt to be communist. They had like attempts at like democracy. However, all of those attempts basically immediately collapsed once Lenin died.
But that's
and
not towards communism. That's still towards Soviet history.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's
talk
important
about political
that,
theories. Then I think it is of the utmost importance to draw the distinction between words and actualities. Okay. And this communist versus capitalist thing is just a bad model. I don't think it's functional. I don't think it's delusional to reject that. I don't think it's like.
I don't think it's delusional. I think it's important. I just think
somebody's passing you a note.
All right.
She already got the words on her own.
Well, I was addressing IFI.
Why ask me for my opinion now? You already talked about it. Here? You talked about it on your own. It's fine.
but look, let me say one more thing, and I'm gonna be quiet for a good while. It's still a human nature problem. We could talk about. Joe Cool said something about before there were monopolies. There was that before. I think it was a Jesse. He said this something about a death cult, 6,000 years of a death cult. There have always been the powers that be that have the capital, whether we have an ism or a laissez-faire or whatever to describe what they own anyways. And what we get to think downstream of that. The American Revolution was actually revolutionary, and the political ideology that acts as a foundation for our country addresses the evidence that we have to demonstrate human nature as it's actually been. Forget the semantics. That's what America was built on.
Is the Constitution a good thing?
Hell yeah. It's a compromise, sure, but it is a compromise that works towards an ideal. And you can look at Jefferson and Hamilton in the Federalist Papers to see what the real problem is. It's not communism and capitalism that are at odds. It's the collective versus the independent. It's the agrarian citizen farmer versus the power of the government to allow for things like insurance and cheaper housing. It's a utility.
Let's check this out. The Constitution, doesn't it mean that now everyone has to follow a different? There's no room for a guy who wants to be free once that Constitution was written, right? The guy who wants to travel and go to fucking Chicago and see his people, now he's under some type of authoritarian rule. Any shot he had at freely traveling without motherfuckers putting words and verbs and shit on him and charging him money is gone. It's the Constitution written.
The Fourth Amendment protects him from those infringements. So the Constitution or the Bill of Rights should help prevent that, not enable it.
Let's see. Let's be honest. There is no protections, right? No rights protected. Free speech. You know, they've come up with end rounds for everything, right? The second, the right to carry a gun. You don't really have that. Free speech. You don't have that. It's where they say public property. Those things are just illusions that they put in our fucking head. I want to be able to go see the pyramids. How many tyrannical versions of government are going to keep me from doing that shit?
That's because the Constitution became a living law. So they keep on updating it to take away people's rights. It's not set in stone anymore. They just keep updating and updating and updating it, taking away everyone's rights and freedom.
You talking about Canada or here in the U.S.?
I was talking about the U.S.
It's also worth noting that many of the original founders of and like the writers of the founding documents actually wanted the Constitution to be amended like pretty significantly every like decade or so. Whatever. Thomas Jefferson was one of the people. He thought that like the Constitution would have to be almost completely rewritten every like 2 decades or something like that.
Yeah.
By an informed citizenry. A republic that works towards the ideal of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. I'm not saying it's perfect or anything like that, but I am saying it addressed the underlying problems that we have with human nature and the human tendency to collect and abuse power, the coercive, as Marxist theory would call it, the coercive elements. It anticipates those. Now, in practice currently, is it achieving that idea?
Not
ideal?
close.
No, it is not. And you mentioned prisons and all that stuff, for-profit prisons.
I would argue that it set the stage for all those things to become possible. And I'm a smart cat and I'm an optimist. If I were going to start my shit, there's an argument on the other side. I am a fan of the Constitution. I think my shit would look a lot like it if I was going to start some type of society. But there is a good argument that things that were obvious now, when you write down these things are to be protected, you open the door for every evil fuck that says only these things are protected. You've opened the door to take away more rights than you ever could protect, and you suck at protecting the ones you named.
Also, it's also worth noting, I know it's come up a couple times in this conversation, but in some previous conversations, we've actually done some deep diving on like prison and private prisons in America, and private prisons actually make up a statistically very small proportion of like our prison system. Not to say that it's not fucked up that we have private prisons, like that's not to say that, but the actual effect they have on our prison system is actually relatively minimal, even if we want to argue that the effect they have is negative. That negative effect is actually relatively minimal. The bigger issue
don't have a big footprint in it.
The bigger issue is actually with state. The bigger issue is with state prison.
Yeah, there's a private prison in Texas that was suing the government because they didn't have enough inmates in them. They said you're not providing us enough people, and that's fucked up.
Yeah, no. That's not to say that private prisons aren't fucked up. Just to say that they're not like this. It's not like half of our prison population is in private prisons. It's a very small percentage, but like that small percentage isn't like it's not good. We probably shouldn't have them. Arguably, a bigger issue is like our state prisons, because state prisons actually have a lot more sort of leeway with what they're doing. That's where a lot of like the really messed up stuff.
Can I ask a question? And this will bring IFI back into it. Someone said that the only way capitalism works, I think they were quoting Marx or somebody, is if it starts off with the good moral shit like that, a foundation in morality and helping other motherfuckers. Is that
you are correct, sir. 100% correct. So that's why you always hear me talking about the whole package deal. You have to have a moral foundation for a libertarian government to protect a capitalist economy. It's called conservatarianism, and I'm the emperor.
Welcome and we all get a trailer in the woods.
Except for me. I get a helicopter ride.
And we will shoot Lib on sight if he even gets near the perimeter.
That's where we end up at, bro.
Agreed.
I think that too, Jesse. That I want to do it on my own, get the government out of my life. I don't see any other path outside of a shed somewhere in the woods. I don't think I get the Bugatti and shit, and that old Grand National that I wanted. I think I get to use the credit cards and shit. You got to choose one or the other, yeah.
Welcome to Conservataria, Joe. It's also called IFIistan for the commies that don't understand what words mean. So
that is true. I'm the one who doesn't understand what words mean.
You haven't understood a single fucking word yet. So wake us up when you do.
Well, I'm playing my silly strategy games because.
Okay, bye. It was fun.
Are you streaming tonight?
Who are you talking to?
Machine.
He might have stepped off.
Yeah, I got you guys tonight on the stream. It's 7:30.
So Joe, cool. I got a new topic for you.
Okay, and I would at some point, it can come later. I want to hear your utopia, your idea of how things work. I want to hear how they work. But
I'm almost out of voice. I can't. That would take like an hour sermon.
All right, so. I got it. We'll save for another time.
I'm sorry.
I'll give you the 101 Cliff's notes. So. Christian morality plagiarized into a state separated church. So like no church and state stuff.
Not based.
So what we got now, freedom of religion, but we're plagiarizing Christian morals. So you can't kill or steal or lie. And then we form a libertarian government, which is very, very limited. It's so small. All it does is enforce the borders and protect capitalism. That's all it does. So we don't need any, three-letter agency spying on you, because this is all going to be public knowledge. It's going to be completely transparent. There's going to be no government for the cronies to coerce,
take over.
So they can't form monopolies. We'll have an antitrust law that prevents any asshole from trying to steal all the goods and then sell it on the market because he's the only one that sells it. So that's not
the only form of monopoly, but I understand what you're saying.
That's the only infringement of capitalism we're going to enforce.
What about
really? Wait, hang on, IFI. You think the only form of Okay.
So Joe, cool. So those three things are non-negotiable.
What morally about the founded military? Do we pay money for the taxes for the military?
All security will be privately owned and privately funded.
Oh, that's scary.
So if someone tries to invade our country, you, the citizen and the owner of your land, are already well armed. And you can hire as many militias as you want to help protect your land.
How do we get a nuclear bomb in this? Because we're going to need nuclear jets and shit in order to fight in the modern world.
If you're poor, you work and you produce value, and then you earn your place in society.
Kind of sounds like capitalism.
What if
So,
technology
Not everybody
removes
thinks
the
that
need for
nuclear
that?
bombs are real.
So
Joe.
this is a
Yes, what happens when someone come over here in the jet? My 40 caliber ain't gonna do shit.
So this is Chris. This is a meritocracy. It's not a democracy. I don't care if you vote your feelings in.
Yeah, but who decides what merit? Who decides who has
The
what
free
merit?
market and the morally founded libertarian government.
People with money.
Okay. So Taylor Swift, by that metric, is the most valuable person on the planet.
Then good for her and her fans and her club.
Can't do it.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like by the standard you just created,
I bet
Taylor Swift is God is president. I mean, like,
I bet you can't break into her house and steal her shit either because she has private security forces guarding her.
Beyonce. So our country will be ruled by Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and I don't know, like, maybe
they ain't gotta be ruled by shit, Chris, because you can do whatever the fuck you want on your land with your business and your community, your friends, your neighbors.
But they'll have all the resources because it's a meritocracy, and then
what resources? They got all the teenage girl dollars. Good for them. Good for Taylor Swift.
Well, hang on. Taylor Swift is a billionaire. Like, she doesn't have chump change. She has.
Last time I checked, teenage girl dollars are worth just as much as adult girl dollars.
Yeah.
So
Chris, guess how she pays her private security with teenage girl dollars. So there's the private security that keeps her safe and all her shit safe.
Okay, but
until Russia comes over here and takes over, and now we all speak Russian because we didn't have a fucking military to fight them.
I invite any socialist shithole to try and invade free America.
And Russia
the capitalists own their own land, are well armed, and can hire as many private security forces
or
as
North
they want.
Korea, whoever.
If it was Russians or North Korea versus the Bayhive or the Taylor Swift army, then you're right, they'd be fucked.
Yeah. So they would have to get through all of Taylor Swift's private security forces.
They would literally eat them alive. They would actually tear their flesh and just devour them. So, I mean, like, you might be right. Maybe we should be depending on like the rabid Taylor Swifties.
And so,
America's only 14% of the world population.
So Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos can blow as much of their billions of dollars as they want on tanks and jet fighters and all submarines, whatever they want.
Okay,
you think
and then try to see how many fucking Venezuelans invade and take over.
Yeah, Elon
because socialism wrecked their country, and now they're trying to come over to our country and spread socialism here. And see if that works.
Elon might be rich, but he's also a retard. So I mean,
that's his freedom. That's his free right. Yeah.
If he's such a retard,
your president smart?
Okay, but Lib, if he's such a retard, then why can't we get him on our side? Why can't we if he's
Lib, who's smarter, Elon or
it's a
president?
Biden. Yeah.
Joe Biden. Is Joe Biden smarter than Elon?
Maybe because he's retardedly rich.
Because authoritarians and socialism is better.
I can't get a message to Joe Biden. I'm pretty sure if I tried hard enough, I get a message to Elon Musk. I'm not sure I could convince him to give me money though. So if he's that much of a retard,
well, I think the issue with Joe Biden is that he's old. He's not like senile yet. Important note.
He's knocking on the door.
Yes, he is.
He's not, he's old, and so he's fucking slow.
I've had 3 different family members become senile, and they were not as bad as Joe Biden. And that's not a joke.
By the way, Joe, do you want Joe Biden's finger on the nuke button? Is that a better choice? Do you feel safer that he's in control of the nukes?
I don't know.
Then who? Then
Joe
who?
Biden.
Then who though? Safer than who?
Me. I would rather be in control of the nukes than Joe Biden.
I would. The nukes anyway. It's the people that control him or control the nukes. It's not even him anyway. There's other people that control. He's just a puppet figure.
About it anymore.
Do we want Taylor Swift's button on the nuke, finger on the nuke?
I'd rather have Taylor Swift control the nukes than Joe Biden. Yes, Joe. Yeah. I vote for Taylor Swift.
Some angry rich billionaires starting fights and get my country fucked up.
Who's Taylor Swift gonna go blow up? What was that girl that was her rival?
Ariana Grande.
Perry? She's gonna nuke Ariana Grande or some shit like that. Come on.
Honestly, what are we really losing?
There's no loser. There's no loser.
I mean,
in
the
that
people,
situation.
the people around Ariana Grande would be lost, and that's valid. I don't want to lose those people. Ariana Grande,
yeah,
I
are
could
you
leave
sure?
her, take or
Are you
leave.
sure that's a loss? Are you sure it's a loss?
I mean, the guy living, 4 blocks away from Ariana Grande is probably a decent guy.
We'll give them.
Maybe.
Hey, look, we'll give them plenty of warning, just like they gave the people in Gaza.
Right.
Oh yeah, tons of warning. Oh god.
We'll
Go
give them
stand
48
in this spot
We
right
will drop
here, and
flyers
you'll be
48
safe.
hours
Okay.
in advance, letting
Well,
them know
why-
that you've got to get
Yeah.
out. Get out
While I'm talking, I'm gonna try and draw the conversation away from whatever stupid shit I was talking about and talk to Tim, because I know we've gotten long ways away from that conversation.
Actually,
but I do,
Joe Cool was talking. So once again, you
my
lied
fault.
about.
I'm
who was
okay with
talking.
the change
Everything
of
was
conversation.
scripted
And
talk,
so
I couldn't help it.
Silence.
that's the
High
problem
five.
with all these
Silence.
fucking communist
Silence.
liars. All they do is
Silence.
lie. They can't
Mud
even
turtle.
ever tell the truth.
Silence. Lib,
That's
go
all
ahead.
you do is lie. So that's why I don't talk
Go ahead, Lib.
to communist fucking assholes.
so Tim, when we were talking earlier,
I'm gonna change the subject to whatever Lib was talking about because he's always trying to derail the subject.
Just
so.
mute i5 for like 5 minutes, dude.
So, Tim, earlier, I know this is like completely off. Well, not even completely, because I think we will probably delve a little bit into this topic about specifically. You think that like Vosh has like been disingenuous or something to that effect. I guess please restate. I guess what your opinion. I think
all right.
is important. Just so I know.
Vosh.
Yeah.
One of
Vosh.
many that I would just love to, like. I mean, we could do
Why
an
do you wanna-
elegant PowerPoint
Liv,
presentation, but in a
Liv,
nutshell.
seriously, why do you want to waste time defending Vosh? Really?
I mean, it's not so much as a defense, though. I do want to like know specifics of why people think that like Vosh is like